Battle Royale, a game mode that has essentially taken a life of its own. You have tons of different Battle Royale games like Fortnite, PUBG, Rings of Elysium, and a lot of other smaller ones that honestly are not that good at all, especially the ones on mobile. And we actually got a new entry into the big catalog of current Battle Royale games, Apex Legends. Now, not only is it different than current ones that I've played so far, it's actually made by Respawn Entertainment, a company that I actually enjoy their games, like Titanfall 2, those are the ones that I know of. And although I have to say I'm honestly really disappointed that, at least right now, Titanfall 3 is not something that's happening. I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised because Apex Legends is a really strong Battle Royale game. It's honestly the best one I have played so far. I've played Fortnite and PUBG, the two major ones, and both of them, at least in my opinion, don't really put up to this. Even the Call of Duty Blackout mode, which is really good as well. I see myself playing this more. So the game itself is different than all the other Battle Royale modes in a few different ways, although most of them being kind of small but cohesively being one big difference. The big difference is being that not only does every character have their own abilities, their own powers, but you can actually communicate with your teammates without having a mic on a lot more effectively than any of the other games I played. The ping system that is actually in the game is actually really good. It not only helps you spot out enemies and items for your teammates, but it can actually help you coordinate where you guys are going to go, coordinate where you guys want to drop. I don't know if it does. That's why I didn't say none. Blue extended mag if you need it in here.
Extended light mag here. Level 2.
The gunplay itself is actually really fluid. It's honestly reminiscent of Titanfall 2, which, you know, it's made by the same people, and I have heard that apparently this game was at first Titanfall 3, but it kind of turned into Apex Legends, and that's why they released it. Unlike other Battle Royale games, as of right now, it actually only has one mode, which is teams of 3. 20 teams of 3 go against each other in basically a battle royale. Big map, you land there, last team standing wins. Unlike games like Fortnite, you obviously don't get as much modes. You have a good amount more modes there, and especially some seasonal modes. Although this game did just come out, so I'm assuming that they're gonna add more modes at least within the next few months. The one reason why they probably don't have really any other modes right now is because this game is actually free to play, completely free to play. You can go and download it right now on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and play it to your heart's content. With all free games, even Battle Royale, you always have to wonder if the pay-to-win kind of model is in there, especially from Respawn since they were bought out by EA, but surprisingly enough, you don't see any pay-to-win whatsoever. It's all cosmetics. And if I'm being kind of honest, in terms of like customization, although there isn't a lot of different, like skins, so to say, it's more like color and palette swaps. The way to actually get them is a lot more, easier than games like free-to-play games like Fortnite. It's honestly kind of surprising at how easy it is to actually save up money to buy certain items or to actually get to craft certain items, you know? What it doesn't have for customization, it actually kind of makes up for it in the characters that you can actually play. You actually get to pick a character that is unique in of itself, not only in design and look, but actually the way they play, because Depending on the character you pick, you could be a support class, essentially, a healer that's helping your teammates, or you could be someone who essentially is kind of like a wild dog on the battlefield, where you're disappearing into this different like plane of existence and using like going behind people and shooting at them and shit, stuff like that. And with these characters that have different abilities, another thing you have to obviously look out for is balance. Having good balance is something that's gonna make or break a game, especially when that's kind of one of the big things about the game. And luckily, in general, it is balanced. While there are some of the abilities that, in my opinion at least, they are kind of, in a way, can make a whole gunfight go towards the person using the ability, like at least to me, the gun shield of Gibraltar, he kind of seems like if I'm shooting at him and it's one-on-one, 10-1, unless I'm hitting all headshots or I'm shooting in the leg for some reason, I'm probably gonna die, because that shield that appears on his gun is gonna take up at least enough bullets to where he'll be able to kill me before I can kill him. Along with these abilities, like phasing in and out of different planes and stuff, basically becoming invisible, they also have ultimates, which is kind of like Overwatch in a way. And while everybody's ultimate is viable in some fashion, I do believe other people's ultimates are definitely the better ones out of other ones. Like Gibraltar's ultimate, I think that one's better than most of the ultimates there. Wraith's ultimate, which is the one that can phase in and out of becoming invisible and taking no damage. Her ultimate is, at least in my opinion, I don't see it that great, seeing as it basically just spawns a portal where you'll be able to teleport somewhere, walk through it, and you'll be able to teleport wherever you put the other portal. I don't think that's a great move, at least in my opinion. Maybe it would be helpful in certain situations. It's just, in my experience, I've been playing for the few hours I played, I haven't seen a viable use for it. And just like Overwatch, the loot system is actually very reminiscent of Overwatch. You keep playing, and when you level up, you get a pack which you open, and then you get skins, voice lines, and all that stuff. They're essentially exactly what you would do with Overwatch. And in the game, instead of having groups of 4, they actually have groups of 3. So that kind of makes it a little different in terms of strategy and such, seeing as you have less people to work with. And honestly, depending on how many people you actually play games with, that could be a minus, seeing as maybe you have 4 friends you play games with, and that fourth person, one of the fourth people, are going to be left out. There's nothing to do with them in the game. Something that does do pretty well is actually the training mode. Before you can actually get into the game itself, it has you do a short little training mode, which honestly is a really good tutorial, because instead of actually like saying what you do in a battle royale game, it actually only trains you on the different aspects that are actually different from other battle royale games. It tells you about guns, switching them, shows you how to switch them, and then it shows you how you can slide to go down mountains. It shows you that you have abilities, different abilities, and everything like that. So in terms of training, so the average battle royale player can get to know the new and different features that it has in this one specifically. It does a great job doing that. The map itself is average in size. I would say every time I'd play, it seems like the game goes by pretty fast, at least to me. Usually if you go longer, it usually lasts like 25 minutes, that's if you're lasting all the way to the end. And the map itself is actually split into different zones like every other game, but instead of actually having to find out which zone would actually have the best loot, and it actually has it to where every time you go to a place, it'll actually tell you what type of loot it'll have, and it'll say mid-tier, high tier, and it'll actually, it's useful in the sense of it'll help you find out which places have the best gear in general. And not only that, but it'll actually be a good place to actually plan out how you're going to be playing. Maybe you won't go to a specific area in the map, you'll go into a different area during the game, because you know there might be still some loot over there. the game overall feels like Titanfall 2 in terms of like playing, running around, shooting and everything. It's very reminiscent of that. It's something I enjoy. I like Titanfall 2 a lot. The gunplay was really good. The Titans were cool. The only thing that's missing here is obviously the very, very high fields of movement as well as the Titans. While you can climb up certain lower structures that honestly looks like you wouldn't be able to climb up, you can't just completely wall run up or wall run across like the side of something, and the maps are actually not built like that. The progression itself is actually pretty good, especially for a free-to-play game. Usually you'll have long time before you get anything, but this one you're leveling up relatively fast and you're getting a good amount of stuff between that. I'd say you're playing a few hours of the game, and within that amount of time you'd get enough to actually buy one of the characters that are actually locked out, because while there's 8 characters, there's only 2 that are locked, and you could either buy with real money or you could buy with in-game currency, which you do get pretty fast. Now, if there was anything I could actually say needs more improvement on, I do think that if they're not going to add more modes, I think they need to add, if they could, like more maps, make it more diverse, because although the map is fine and it's honestly diverse itself, it can get a little stale after a while if you're playing a really long sessions. The melee hit detection, at least for me, I literally was trying to fight someone with melee in there before by punching them, and for whatever reason it was really hard to actually do it, because you had to like time it, kind of like Rust in a way, you know, with swinging a rock, you kind of have to time your punch to actually hit someone. So unless you're actually practiced it enough, I think melee is something that you'd have to kind of learn as you go. Another thing is that the guns themselves are decent, but I do feel like some guns are honestly not viable to have at all, because let's say I took out a pistol or something. Well, I don't want the pistol to kill me in like 5 shots. I don't think I should have to put in like 3 whole clips of a pistol into someone to kill them. At least that's my experience, because I would like shoot at someone who he does have shield, but I'd shoot at someone and I'd hit him almost every single shot of like 3 rounds, and he'd still kill me beforehand. And at least to me, it would be frustrating, if not make no sense to me, as to, although guns themselves, like the pistols, they're not strong, but they shouldn't be so weak to where they're not viable to use. And on top of that, there's not a lot of guns to actually choose from. There's only a handful of them, and a lot of them are taken from Titanfall 2, if not all of them. But it's not a great selection. Although adding a lot of guns makes another issue of balancing, I do think that if you were to add a good amount of guns that were all at least somewhat balanced, seeing as you made the game before Titanfall 2, you could just add more guns like that, then you would be able to get some guns that are not only diverse but fun to use. Overall, my experience with the game was actually really good, because I'm not necessarily a fan of battle royale games, especially games like Fortnite. I do play that with my friends sometimes, but any battle royale game I've actually played, including Blackout and such, I've never played by myself, just because I think it's boring by myself. I've tried to play by myself, but it's like I'm playing, next thing I know I die, I'm like, I'm not really into really keep going. But this game, although I can't play solos as you would in the other games, I do feel this need to keep playing, this thing to make me keep playing. While other games I haven't actually had this in. I wish I could say I did, seeing as you want every game to, you know, make you want to keep playing. You want to get your money out of it. But the thing is, you don't have to pay $60, you don't have to pay $30, you don't have to pay anything to play this game. And it's not only well polished, but in my opinion, it is the best battle royale game on market right now, and it's completely free. So there is honestly no reason not to try it out at the very least. And it's a low file size. On PlayStation, when I was playing on my PlayStation, it was like 17 gigabytes. On computer, it's about that too. the biggest difference between both of them is honestly the way you control it. Mouse and keyboard is going to feel different compared to the controller, as well as it's obviously going to look better on computer if you have the hardware to run it. Yeah, so the game is good, the gunplay is good. It's just that there are a few things that I do think it needs to at least expand on, like customization. Needs to add more customization stuff to it, because the stuff it has in there right now, I'm not willing to spend money on it to get it, just because it's not cool enough to spend how much they're asking. They have like a red theme skin that honestly is kind of like worth like $1 or $2, but they want like about $18 worth of coins. So I can't even fathom of doing that. And it also needs to expand on the guns, at least in my opinion. Maybe test some things out in a public test server or something like that. And the other thing is that if they can, add a few more modes. Or add like another map that's just different than that one, and it like switches between them depending on the chances of it picking it. But overall, the game itself is good, and definitely for free to play, it's most definitely worth playing. It's a game that you're gonna play and you're gonna like. If you like Battle Royale at all, you're gonna like this. I know in the future, this is the Battle Royale game I'm gonna keep coming back to, and definitely the one I'm gonna honestly play the minute I'm done recording and uploading this. It's my go-to Battle Royale game, and honestly, I'm sure a lot of people will also agree. The only thing that is really disappointing is the fact that, at least right now, we're not going to have a Titanfall 3 from Respawn Entertainment, as it changed into this. I really did enjoy the Titanfall franchise, but at the very least, this lessens the disappointment, seeing as they actually released something that was actually really surprising.
Holy fuck, good shit. Hey boy, we're too wavy. Damn, we actually did pretty decent too. Shit, good stuff.